Now, get ready to talk hockey. Streaming from the Oilers Live Studio. Subscribe or follow today.
Hey, it's Michael here again with another edition of Oilers Live. We're coming on Wednesday, post-Washington game, for a little hockey talk after an exciting Oilers win, 5-3. Lots happening in that game, lots of good things, lots of bad things, lots to talk about. Thinking just before we started tonight that it's great to, have some things to complain about during a point streak like the one we're putting together. Winning games makes everything better, that's for sure. But still some things we can talk about tonight. In fact, there's still some holes in this Oilers team that I think can be fixed, and with the squad that we have. Of course, I'm still not convinced Koskinen's the answer, so I'm going to say that. And in the meantime, I'm going to introduce my two guests tonight from Straight Off the Pipe podcast, which you find on the Heavy Hockey Network. And if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter or wherever, go to youtube.ca/heavyhockey. Hit the subscribe button. Hit a like. Make some comments. Join us live, typically Tuesdays and Sundays, but lately we've been going post-game. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
So let's start with Mr. Dursa. First man over in the middle. What are your thoughts on the game? Give me something good, something bad, and just some observation.
Yeah, well, we scored first, so that's a good start. Scored second, scored third.
yeah.
And then we kind of let the Capitals into the game with a couple of mistakes by our RD. And then it's 3-2 and it's sort of game on. And I thought Mikko had a pretty good game. Gave us a chance to win. Was better than the guy that started for the Capitals, and then the guy that came in relief did a pretty good job for the Capitals. When basically the rest of the game without giving up anything. Yeah, and a couple of a shorty and then a couple of empty net goals, and that kind of sealed the deal. I got a question for both of you, I guess, as how I'll end is.
It's Dursa's show now. Go ahead.
I know. Where'd the question part come from? All right, ask your
either of you guys have either of you guys been bench checked? Because I never was.
Oh, for sure.
No, I haven't. But I've taken some big hits.
I've been bench checked, and I bench checked myself getting chased by a goalie who skated all the way across the red line, chasing me across the ice, and I jumped into our own bench, and then we fought over the boards while the goalie was on the ice. Then he got suspended 99 games.
99, eh?
Glad you asked that question.
I've fallen into the bench. Yeah, does that count? Yeah, many times.
That's called a game that ends in Y for you there.
That's right.
Hey, Scott Hart. No, it's like he bear down.
Oh man, yeah. Only one time with the skate guard still on into the ice. Yeah. Oh man, you only need to learn that once. Although some people learn it.
Do I get to answer Hebert's question?
Yeah. Hey, what'd you?
More for the rest of us while he's got the floor.
What's your thought on the game?
That's smug.
Something good, something bad, an observation.
Yeah, that first goal is a good start. That's, I would say, 3 good starts in 3 games with Evander Kane, to be honest. First goal in 2 out of the 3, and I thought we outplayed the Sens in the game where we didn't score first. But so that, definitely nice to see. That said, I think the Capitals looked like a team that played back-to-backs and played overtime last night and are missing their 4 best players. They started slow, which opened the door for that fast start. But, it's about time the others capitalized on something like that, I'd say. So, unfortunately, I would have to agree with Dursa. My bad, I think, would probably be You know what? I got a couple. If I'm throwing darts, Duncan Keith struggled again tonight for sure. I think the defense as a whole is still looking too leaky, still giving up way too many high danger scoring chances. I still hold my breath when Barry's on the ice. Fogle had the lowest ice time on the team tonight. I think he was at 6 something. He's really been fighting it, I thought, since he was given the demotion off of the first line. He hasn't scored since December 18th. I think JP has looked the same kind of just off since, he hasn't scored in 11. He hasn't looked good. And maybe since he got COVID, to be honest. So I'm not sure if they're fighting something there. And I don't know what to say about Cassian. He's just still sucks. So
Wow.
I don't know. That's about it. Overall observations.
Anything good
great
in there?
special
Or
teams,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Hunter,
special teams are good.
what I talked about the start. Come on.
All those guys sucked shit, but the special teams were good. There we go.
Well, and I said the start was good, and I said that that's kind of how the game went. It was a good first 7 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes of the game were good. They kind of fell asleep in the second period, and I don't know, maybe they got shocked by the goaltender change and that whole momentum shift. But yeah, good special teams, 100% on the power play, 100% on the penalty kills. So tough to complain.
Hyman and Nuge have
Great
been
game for Nuge.
Outstanding. Hey, on PK.
Except for that shift except for those 2 shifts when Cassian was out with him.
No, but I'm not kidding. But I mean, on the penalty kill, though, I mean, they've been premier penalty killers. I mean,
natural stat trick for the game. The Oilers had over 50%. The Nuge Hyman line with Derek Ryan had almost a 50% Corsi. They had a 55% Fenwick. That the Cassian, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins 3 minutes and 30-second experiment had a 22% Corsi and a 14% Fenwick.
Oh man, Cassian shouldn't see at top 2 lines ever. Not this year. Not the way he's playing.
Hyman and Nuge, you're going to start to make me look good on my prediction for shorties this year, Durst, that you had me answer at the beginning of the year. I can't remember how many I said we'd get, 6 or something like that, but I think they're at 3 halfway through.
Yeah, and they get a chance every time. Like it feels like once a game they find a way. Durst's video must be frozen.
He's snake bitten. I think I yelled at
him.
He's crying on the inside.
Now he's like, I don't know. Should I say something? I haven't been asked a question yet.
I want Dash to yell at me.
All right, go ahead, Durst. You start asking the questions.
When am I ever intimidated by you yelling at me?
Hey, welcome to Oilers Live. This is your host, Mike Dursa.
The one penalty kill, it was like Hyman against the whole team. He kind of went into Washington's end, kind of went around the net, came back out through the blue line, went back around. He was a one-man wrecking crew. Him and Nuge definitely have some chemistry now, and it was nice to see them get rewarded with a shorty there, and then Nuge kind of topped it off with a empty net goal there to seal it. I kind of made a joke on Twitter there with Nuge ices it with a Top Gun Iceman gif with a, they're kind of fun to watch on the PK, and I mean it wasn't a Picasso tonight, but it was a game they needed to win. There was a lot of caps out of the lineup, but you didn't kind of let them take over and take the game away. You did what you needed to do and got the win, and kind of go into the all-star break on a little bit of a high. I don't know what happens, in 5 days if we end up seeing Mike Smith back in the net.
I think we will. Yeah,
buzz,
sounds like doctors have him cleared.
Yeah.
So how many times there's a couple recurring themes in the media right now. One is the crazy amount of depth that we have now that all of a sudden Kane's on the team.
Oh,
about
it, right?
Yeah. Now the other one today,
this miracle amount of depth
that drove me nuts was, and it only drives me nuts because this is not the way they talk about the Oilers, but the Capitals are without Ovechkin and Vanacek, and you keep hearing that, right? Like, well, they don't have their top guy and their top goalie. Holy shit! Like, honestly, like they don't. What did I say, Dash? Like, clearly,
It's stage left.
Takes a lot to keep this guy interested. Anyway, so I mean, he'll have to catch up. That'll be hard for him. We can pretty much say whatever the hell we want right now.
Hear you guys still. Come on.
Oh,
Pick up the pace. Show some emotion here, boy.
Yeah. No, so okay, so
stay interested. I don't know.
So everybody, like, they're all talking about OV and Vanacek being out, right? Like, the Oilers have spent half the season without anybody, right? Like, without their top goalie or anything. But you don't. Oh, the Oilers are coming into this game without their top goalie. Nobody said shit like that. They just talked about that we don't have a good goalie, but it's like,
oh yeah, you heard it all game though that the Oilers are playing the third string goalie of the Capitals. Like, I don't know, isn't Koskinen kind of our third string goalie?
Yeah, I did something. I screwed something up here. I lost you guys. That was funny. All right, sorry, you're back. I heard you.
But you must have, like, straight off the pipes original guy there running the
rookie
side tonight.
I'm a rookie here. So, what kind of bloody podcast is this? Damn. Hey. Okay, yeah. I know we're going to talk some Oilers hockey, but did you see Kadri is, like, right up there with multi-point games with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Austin Matthews? Kadri.
I think that says a little bit more about Connor and Leon having a little bit of a struggle than it really does about Kadri, but Kadri's having a hell of a season.
Kadri's having a hell of a
season. Says a lot about
season.
Kadri's line mates too.
I mean, look, the guy is good if he can keep his nose out of trouble, right? Like Kane, right? Like, same. I mean, he's Kadri's always been a great player. In fact, if he had just sort of kept out of the suspension area, he could have helped the team last year in the playoffs. He's a good player. He just seems to, do stupid things at the exact wrong time. Like, he could go this year with 100 points and then find a way to get suspended for the first round of the playoffs because that's the kind of timing the guy has. I mean,
I almost wonder if that part of his game is kind of went into the fire a little bit. Like, he's been pretty good for a while here. I think
he's had a hell of a
season.
Has he
been suspended in Colorado?
Yeah, he got suspended in the playoffs. Yeah, last year. He cost them the playoffs last year. Like, if he was in the lineup, I really think they would have gone further than they did.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Kind of his calling card, isn't it?
It is, right? Like, just some guys can't seem to get their shit together at the right time, right? Like, they're, some talented players and can't get their shit together, but
what's the line of wanting to be intense and
well, for sure.
Kind of be
he almost killed Justin Falk.
Hey, how do you know you're on a point streak? You're not always talking about the Oilers. Right? You can take a moment and sit back and talk about somebody else. Like, okay, let's talk about this game because there's a lot of good things to know. And last post game, I went off on Tippett because we've always had this depth. We've always had the capability to play Nuge on the third line. There's some guys that need to pick up their game, obviously, Fogle being one of them. You mentioned that. Cassian being another. I thought Shore has been good. And Shore, holy shit, this is gonna be like picked a pack of pickled peppers. Shore, everybody's been shitting on Shore most of the season. but
we sell Shore shits by the seashore.
Yeah, I mean, man, there's just a couple guys that are hanging on right now that need to do something. I thought Ryan had a great great game. If for those that are tuning in, if you haven't yet, go on to youtube.ca/heavyhockey. Our guy Josh from Tough Call Pod put the fourth line, last game's fourth line, shift by shift, which was Derek Ryan, McLeod, and Shore. Right? Was it Shore? Guys, yeah, come on, help me out here. Yeah. Yeah. He put them shift by shift out, and well worth the watch. He broke it down quite nicely. He should be a video guy for the Oilers. He'd be valuable to them given what we've seen them do. And then they broke that line up. He's in agreement. Josh is in agreement that they should, with Tippett, and that they should have promoted those guys. And McLeod looked great, I thought, with Draisaitl. What'd you guys think of that pairing today?
Yeah. Reminded me of Taylor Hall flying down his wing back when Draisaitl was paired with him, where he was kind of like, here, you transport the puck, but then give it back to me once we're over the blue line.
Yeah. Yeah, and McLeod's got a sneaky good pass, right? Like he's he's got some skill that I don't know that we've really seen developed yet. And that's just, go back to the Tippett thing. Tippett hasn't given him the opportunity. He's finally giving him the opportunity. And in fairness, McLeod's earned it, right? Like he's put together game after game and looked really good. What do you guys like? What did you guys think of the lines today? What would you make any changes? Maybe Durst?
Yeah, I'm not seeing much of anything out of Zach Kassian anymore. Like I don't know. I thought
that's you could say people are thinking this podcast is recorded now. Like you could have said that for the past 2 years. Yeah. Wait a second. I've heard this before. Yeah.
I would have thought Evander Kane lighting up the hits. Like I think he had 7 tonight. Looks like almost like the second coming of Ryan Smith tipping pucks and got another one off a redirect, and played a physical game. He gets bench checked, comes out of that. Some guys would snap and lose it and take a penalty just because they don't want to be embarrassed going into the bench, but he just kind of looked around and went off. And, it doesn't seem like he got his bell rung and kind of goes to the room at the end of the second period there. And everybody's thinking he's got a separated shoulder, comes out for the third. It doesn't seem like he's getting animated, like he's kind of focused, but still playing a physical brand of hockey. And McDavid kind of gets run. Yamamoto goes and answers Hathaway there with a couple of cross checks. And then Kane's right there, but doesn't take a penalty. I think it was Yamo that went to the box. After that, Cassian's lucky he didn't go to the penalty box, swinging his stick at Hathaway there. And that's about all I saw out of him was that little, almost retaliatory to a penalty that already happened on a play that happened before. He doesn't drop the gloves, doesn't get into a fight, but tries to engage, and nobody takes takes him on. And that was about all I saw from him tonight. There wasn't a lot out there that was good. So I'm wondering, people are wondering where the spot comes for Dylan Holloway. Well, I think that's probably where it comes.
So you think they drop Kassian? Bryce on YouTube says, I assume this is in response to the Kane discussion. I think he's trying to be on his best behavior. I think we'd agree with that. Dash, your thoughts on the lines tonight? Like, is this something you'd like to see going forward? Some changes maybe you'd make? How do you look at it?
I'd like to see Zach Kassian in the press box. You look at all the individual on ice shifts for the Oilers for this particular game here, and Kassian had a 35% Corsi and a 28% Fenwick. His Corsi is 15 points lower than anybody else on the team for this game. So basically whoever he played with, he brought down heavily. He was on the ice for 3 shots for, 9 shots against, high danger scoring chances. He was on the ice for 2 for, none against. I don't like that at all. I thought the line of McLeod, Draisaitl, PRV was good. They're kind of that same load that they, to handle, kind of like when Fogel's on that left wing. I don't know if Fogel got benched for disciplinary reasons or if he, snagged an injury partway through the game, but I would have liked to have seen him stick on that second line or, I think other than that, I don't mind what he's doing. I like how they're rolling out the 3 and 4 lines. So it's about time Tippett could do that and is doing it more often. So I don't know. I think I like that.
Plays die on Fogel's stick when we cross the blue line.
Yeah, there's no Eric Belanger, but I do notice that.
He's trying to hold on to it, right? Like, I think it was DeBrusque mentioned. I mean, you got to get it in deep there, right? Especially if you're playing fourth line, right? Like, you got to play like a fourth liner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you're playing with Draisaitl and McDavid, you can try to dipsy it in, but and hope that they're going to be there for support. But the whole idea of being on the fourth line is get it in deep. Just like Josh's breakdown of what the fourth line did right against the Senators, right? Get it in deep. Keep the puck, play a possession game, get off the ice with possession, let your stars do the work, right? And that's a successful fourth line game. Look at the guy you guys are talking about, Holloway for Cassian. Why not Benson? Like, that's a guy that plays a role, right? Like, we've all been asking him. We've all been asking for him to maybe see some top line minutes, like 1 or 2 at somewhere, and I'm all for that. I think that's 2. But you know what I love about Benson is he's the kind of guy that's come out and played and done exactly what you've asked of him. You put him on the third and fourth line, he plays like a third and fourth liner. And he's not a third and fourth liner. That's not his career ever. Like, he's never been, but he's been doing what's been asked of him, and I got to respect that.
Benson plays every shift and his whole shift like Cassian does when he's 5 feet away from hitting somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? I mean,
Benson hits guys as hard as Cassian hits the boards.
Yep.
Yeah, like
he skates. He gives you what he has, and he's a lot. He's like the games he was playing. He was a lot more physical.
Yeah, I think he took a couple of bad penalties one game. One, and a couple of them, I did that little video, if you remember. They were a little bit dramatic. You could have been called an unsportsmanlike on the other team as well. But, outside of that, I think he takes those kind of penalties when he does because he's playing hard. And I got a lot of respect for a guy that is playing hard and is taking penalties like that, as long as it's not costing you every game. Whereas I'm not sure, and Mike, you hit it on the head, like, what's Cassian bringing to the team now? He almost took a penalty tonight, right? And there's, I know that the Washington power play almost seemed like a benefit to us tonight, but having said that, you just can't, you can't play with fire, right? And Cassian has a history, a long history of taking calls at bad times, and right now this team doesn't need that. They need. I want to like Cassian, like that. The playoffs there in 2017, he was a wrecking ball, and he played a hell of a game, a hell of a series, the first series, but he's just not doing it.
I think we all
maybe he should shave those Wolverine sideburns back then.
Yeah.
I think we all want him to resurrect that, San Jose series kind of form, but how long do you wait?
Yeah.
It's been too long.
It has been too long. Okay, we're talking about Cassian. What about Yamamoto? I saw it today. It's hard. You're hard pressed to find a positive, sweet tweet from Spectre, but Spectre's got a good point here, which is a lot of talk on how Yamamoto had worked so hard all summer long on his shot. I don't see it. And he's right, although Yamo had a couple of nice shots tonight. I thought those couple of shots are more shots than we've seen from him in a long time. But he's not getting it done. Do you keep him on that top line for another round, or I mean, we've got 5 days off, so we'll see what happens. But what do you do with Yamo in this instance? Like, do you keep him up there? Like, I don't know, or do you give somebody? Maybe that's where you put Slot Benson in. He's although he's a lefty, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's lefty. Yamo's a righty. I think you keep doing what your top players keep telling you they want, and McDavid and Draisaitl want Yamamoto on their wing.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Mike?
I set him up for a nice one-timer there. Just didn't go in.
Yeah, I mean, he had some good shots tonight, I thought. It's funny that should be Spector's tweet tonight because, I thought Yamo made some good chances. You want him to do, that's the kind of thing he should be doing every night, and I don't know where Spector's right about one thing. I mean, you heard a lot about him in the offseason practicing his shot. He was going to shoot more. He was going to shoot more. And then, we're just dying here waiting for him to shoot more. There's a lot of things to like about his game. Like, there's very few people that are, like him on the puck in the corner, right? But
probably earns himself another game after coming to Connor's aid too. After that little body check there. I think if you are going to do something there, you can look at, dusting off Brendan Perlini and giving him a shot up there again too.
Yeah, we've got Cassian in, and we've got no Perlini. Is Perlini injured?
I don't think so.
No. And, I don't think we've seen enough of Sevier to really feel like he, I think putting him on waivers was probably a reasonable thing. It'd be great to have Archie in, wouldn't it?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Right now, I haven't thought about him for 40 games. Well, most every night I cry myself to sleep for poor Archie. But no, I would love to have that guy can hit. Like he's like Cassian, the size of Yamamoto, right? Like,
yeah,
the biggest hit I've ever seen was Archibald. It was a Flyers game, and I rarely ever sit. It was the Flyers game I was at, and I was down ice level almost, like about 4 rows up. And it was the one where Connor had 10 Flyers all strapped to his back, and he still scored the goal. I was right there, like maybe 10 meters away from that. But during that game, Archibald came in. I don't know who he plastered against the boards, but I remember like it might have been one of the biggest hits I've ever seen. and I didn't even know it was Archibald. I was just like, bang, and everybody in the like the few rows there, they all like jump back, like, holy shit, what was that? and then
like when Surrey hit the glass with a shot.
Oh yeah, no, exactly.
But it's Archibald.
Oh man, it was huge. And then he skates away, and I'm like, that was Archibald. Like that guy can level people, and he did it. And a couple fights he's been in, he's been pretty good. And man, I really like that guy. It's just too bad about the whole COVID thing and the myocarditis and all that stuff. But yeah, would have been great to have him in the lineup this year. But alas, he's not. All right. Samsonov on Holland's radar for a goalie.
I don't think he's got a great dressing room reputation. I guess that's the theme for the Oilers, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Look, the kid is Russian, and Ovechkin yells at him on the ice and screams at him, telling him,
"Oh man,
get his fucking head in the game." So I'm not sure, but I mean, he was the savior for Washington that allowed them to move Holtby, and now he's a backup. So
yeah. He he's been something else. That I mean, tonight he was kind of a bit of our savior. It was nice to get that Draisaitl tip was a thing of beauty, wasn't it? I mean, I don't think they spent enough time on just how sweet that little tip was.
Give and go with him and CC too.
Yeah, right. And McLeod started that off, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good to get McLeod on there. I'm really loving McLeod on with Draisaitl, and it's just funny that a lot of this stuff fans have been screaming for all year, right? And now we're getting it. In fact, it's not even been just 1 year; it's been a couple of years, right? Like you immediately get some depth if you put Nuge back on his own line. The addition of Hyman is really where the depth comes in. We keep talking about Kane. That's added depth. But when we added Hyman, at the beginning of the season, the question I have is all like I remember they'd asked Draisaitl and McDavid and all that. They said, "What do you think of the forward depth? This is as deep as it's been since we've been here." Right? Like, what the is it? Because we're told about halfway through the season so far that the Oilers have no depth. I just think that's bullshit. I think the depth has always been there. We're just now playing it the right way. And Kane has been, and I grudgingly say it because I'm not the character of the guy I'm not keen on, but he's been a nice add. The last two games. That first game, he was a little bit slow to be expected, but I thought he played a hell of a game tonight. He was in it. He kept us cool when he got popped into the bench. Of course, he did a couple cross checks there on Hathaway, but I don't know. Damned if you do, damned if you don't there, right? If he didn't do it, people would be yelling for his head, like, why do we get the guy if he's not sticking up for McDavid? And if he does do it, and people are, well, that's a stupid penalty to take, right? And, so it's a little bit of both there. I don't know.
What'd you think of the refereeing tonight,
Mike?
I didn't mind it. They let him go.
They let him go.
Yeah, I can handle that. I don't like the ticky-tack stuff. If you earn your penalties, you earn your penalties. They could have called a few more calls, but they let him play. And you know what? I think both teams can handle that. I was all right with it.
I think Washington would probably complain about the refereeing more than the Oilers than this one, to be honest. Like, Nuge got away with one. Hyman got away with one. You mentioned Cassian swinging his stick at Hathaway. Draisaitl, he checked somebody's luggage there. So I thought it was kind of in our favor for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Although I did feel like when the Hyman call didn't happen, I just had that sense that they were going to come back and score in that same sequence, and of course they did. It just felt like one of those calls that was destined to not happen and not be good for us. Oilers respond well, being down. Like after they were never down tonight, I guess, but after the comeback, does this show maybe a different mental attitude for the team?
No,
you don't think so?
No.
I think they're starting to get a little bit better at goaltending, so they don't just fall apart when things go awry.
So why not, Dash? Like, you think, I mean, normally what would happen in that instance in the past, prior to the last 5 games is Washington would tie it up and we'd lose the game somehow or find a way to lose it. We didn't do that tonight, though.
Yeah, tonight. It doesn't mean that we didn't against the Rangers and New Jersey, and we're still going to have our fair share of them. We're going to lose some of those, and we're going to win some of those. We talk about puck luck, and I think we had a little bit of it tonight with some pucks bouncing, and maybe that's come back into our game a little bit. I think an improvement on the special teams has come back into our game a little bit. Like I said, to start off the show, I think maybe we've had a good start in the last 3 games, but the fundamental things aren't changing. Koskinen was okay. He wasn't awesome. I still think that our secondary defenseman, when Darnell Nurse isn't on the ice, is not good. I mean, we just won a game, and Cece and Keith weren't good tonight. The pair, I think, had 3 high danger scoring chances for and 14 against or something as a pair. We're spend a lot of time struggling in their own end. And maybe the biggest issue of all is this team hasn't put in a full 60 minutes since Evander Kane was a thrasher. Like, it's been longer than I can remember since we've, there's one game this year, maybe. I think that 2-1 win against the Canucks about 3 months ago. I remember thinking we had pace the entire game. And I don't know. I think that the key problems still exist, and whether this was an improvement in culture or improvement in confidence or whatever, maybe, but it's just the ebbs and flow of hockey. That's my answer. And this was just one of the ebbs and flows.
You sound like an old man.
Damn you, Clouds. Yeah, I've been spending some time with Low Tide, and we've been yelling.
Yeah, you know what? I agree and disagree. I mean, you make your own luck in hockey, right? You play hard, you make your own luck, right? Like Nuge and Hyman there, they've been playing hard. They deserve that, and they got it, right? They got that shorty there. I just don't think the Oilers, they stuck to their game plan when it came to the special teams, the PK, and they could have folded, there, and they could have done some things. I think that you get to this point where, you're losing games, that's the kind of thing that it just keeps rolling against you, right? The fact that we scored first again is a good sign, right? It kind of, as soon as we scored first, I think everybody in Oilers land sort of breathes a sigh of relief, and with the understanding that we're a good team if we've got the lead, right? But most teams are, right? I think most teams with the lead, can do great things. I'm 100%. There's people that are saying today, even Rashog had said, Koskinen's been good. I wasn't, I've still not, let's be fair. Every time the puck gets shot on Koskinen, and they beat him top glove a couple times tonight and just missed, right? Schultz just about beat him on that one, and what's his name?
Go figure. Schultz getting a point versus the
Oilers.
Oh
yeah, no doubt. I mean, even that goal that he let in on the Barrie deflection, that's just bad reflex, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't like Barrie was straight in front of the net and that went in. Koskinen had time to react to that. Like he's a big goalie that I don't think is as fast as some of the other guys his size. But yeah, Mike, your thoughts? I mean, what do you think? Does the team turned a bit of a corner on the mental side?
They didn't find a way to lose it, and you score a shorthanded goal to basically win the game. I mean, that means you're
bit of a lucky goal.
You're working hard. Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, you got to be there, right? And for two guys on the PK to be in the right position, to be pushing the attack and there to bang home a rebound, that means you're putting a lot of offensive pressure on a power play. So I don't know if I'd call that luck or more hard work. You're going to the net. I mean, it's easy for that second forward on a PK to bail out and go protect the house. He didn't. He went to the net and finished it off. So, yeah, I don't know. I think, if they didn't have a confidence about them, they probably wouldn't go all out on a PK to score that goal. You kind of peel off and just try to walk this thing into overtime and get a point and go for that extra one. Pushing for offense on the PK is a little bit of a different switch, and I'd like to see more of that. I don't know. This game, it could have went the other way. Washington ties it. They've got all the momentum, and you find a way to take it back and win the game. And, with Washington having a depleted lineup, for them to end up tied on the second night of a back-to-back, it probably was an emotional boost for them. And we kind of stomped that out. And I think it's a good win. I mean, people can throw it out saying they didn't have Ovechkin and missing a couple other players. But how many games did we drop when we were missing players? And we can't use that as an excuse. And I'm sure Washington doesn't want to use that as an excuse. It's an NHL game. You want to win every game. And I'm glad we found a way to get this one. And, now it's kind of a reset mentally and go to the All-Star break for McDavid and Draisaitl and come back and try to, approach what's going to be a sprint to the finish with, games almost every other night for the next 40 nights when they come back. So
playoff stretch starts now almost,
Yeah.
Well, it really does. I mean, there's just too many people ahead of the Oilers, and they're, it's like the Oilers put together, and it's 6 games with points in a row, and they still haven't moved, right? Like they're still in the same spot in the wild card spot, and it's because everybody else is winning too, right? Like they're not, we gained a point out of this whole time on Calgary, right?
Yeah.
Like that, the fact that we lost, in overtime the other night was a big deal in that little battle with Calgary, right? And they're gonna, they're playing a gimme tonight in Arizona, although they say that and Arizona beat Colorado of all teams last night, but it's still, we're on the outside looking in. What's our where are we at from a points percentage standpoint in the conference? I'm just going to do a little search here.
We just leapfrogged the Sharks here, so
yeah,
and we've got 4 games in hand on them, but we
so points percentage we're right up in 6, 7, 8 in that range. They were all pretty close. Pardon me. But I mean, there's still a lot of hockey left. The thing that scares me the most is we just haven't heard enough about the goaltending situation, right? Like there's been a few rumors out there. There was a couple of days where it was really hot. It seemed like something was imminent and people were talking about it, and then all of a sudden we've won 5, 6 in a row, and does it become like, is Holland thinking maybe we're all right with what we got, right? And I don't need to give up too much. If we had lost 2 or 3 out of the last 6, maybe the heat to get a goalie is a little bit harder and faster, and maybe what we give up is a little bit more. My concern with Holland is, he plays this. He's so patient, right? Almost to a fault.
Not a good gambler.
Yeah, like he goes, if you win 6, he doesn't see the intrinsic problems with the Oilers, right? Like he'll say, well, we won 6, so everything must be good. Hands off. I'm just going to leave it alone, right? Where there are GMs in the league where they could win 6, but see what the problems are on an organization and still make a big move to change that. He's not that guy. And so my concern here is now that we've got, 6 games with points in a row, is his desire to go out and get a goalie maybe diminished a little bit, especially given that we've got Mike Smith coming back. But we all know that Smith could be, back on the IR in a period of hockey, right? Like that's the scary part.
Good.
Yeah.
They almost should have played him tonight if he was ready, so that if he got dinged up, he had 5 days to rest.
Yeah.
It's funny with Holland in the position he's in, right? Like we have the patient GM when we need the wheeler and dealer, and it's like when we needed Holland, we hired Chiarelli, and when we hired Holland, we needed Rutherford or Zito or something. Like it's just the timing's weird. We put his gun to his head, we said the time is now, and he rolled his dice and came up with Duncan fucking Keith.
It'll never I'm getting you a Keith jersey.
It ruined our off season. It was the fucking snowball effect for everything else that happened. I'll never forgive him.
He's put up
Win the cup and I'll
14
forgive you.
points so far this year.
He sucks.
What
14 points.
What ruined the offseason was Seattle taking Grubauer, and then Colorado moving to take Kemper, and us losing out on a goalie.
Yeah, that was a big part of it too, for sure.
Yeah, I just my feeling on that, and is that a good GM gets that shit done, right? Finds a way, right? Like you got to we've lost out on every potential goalie that's been out there. Some of them, although I don't.
All of that goes back to Chiarelli handcuffing with Koskinen.
Yeah, could be
as his last hurrah.
Yeah, Holland. Like if we had Holland at the beginning of the decade of darkness, this team would be in a whole different scenario, right? Of course, we'd never see Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but Chiarelli really messed things up in terms of the contracts that were left and that, and I just think it's hard to come back from that. But you could start to come back from that, to Dash's point, if you don't sign Keith, and we did. Well, not sign. Sorry, take Keith and take that contract. Even better would have been just to have Keith without taking on the full brunt of that contract, because then you'd have some options, but it just left us with no options up against the cap. I mean, I'm still not, I haven't actually looked into it because there's not been any reporting on it, but I'm still kind of curious in terms of what it means for the cap situation in Edmonton for the Evander Kane contract. So it's at roughly $2 million, but we might be able to get under the wire with all the IR and everything. You almost need a math degree in order to figure it all out.
That's why Kyle Turris is not with the club right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and also Broberg, right? Like they were trying to save whatever little space they could here and there, in order to get... according to Puckpedia on the Edmonton Oilers site, it says current cap space is $2.7 million. That's with a long-term IR pool of $7.8 million. Roster's full, but contracts, we still have 5 contracts that we can sign. So still lots of room. Yeah, I guess, I mean, obviously they got to have a puck or a cap guru that does all the working before they sign a contract. Otherwise, although, I mean, there's been mess ups before, right? GMs have messed up in the past. Yeah. All right, 5 games off, guys. 5 nights off, and then Vegas up next. Durst, what do you think? You think, is this team ready now to take on the likes of Vegas?
We win out our games at hand. We catch Vegas where they're at right now.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
so these are home games. We got three at home. We got Vegas, and then quite nicely we got Chicago on the back-to-back, which I'll take. That's the order in which you want them, right? And then you've got the Islanders, which even I thought that they would come back with a little bit of a vengeance. They seem to be doing what the Islanders do. So, but you think? Do you think we have what it takes to beat Vegas right now?
I think our goaltending is still the big question mark on this team. Smith might get that start, but what kind of game do you get out of him? I mean, even if he doesn't get hurt in that game, what kind of game do you get out of the guy? It's like he's starting all over again.
Yeah. He's played 6 games this year.
Yeah.
So, he hasn't played a lot. He's going to be coming in cold. It's nice. You'll have Although a couple of these days are mandated days off, right? Aren't they? How many of these 5 days off are mandated? Which means he's not going to get a lot of practice time in, like team practice time. So I'll be curious, how the run up. Of course, with Smith, maybe not playing too much is not a bad thing. And then Chicago next night. Your thoughts, Dash? You think we got what it takes to beat Vegas right now?
No. No. I just we like.
You
we
seem
can talk
like
about the
you actually seem a little bit disappointed in the team tonight.
Like it's
even
just
though we had to win,
it's great
but,
that we're 5 out of 6, but we're still not playing good hockey. There's still a lot of errors there, and we're homers if we think that this is going to get us all the way into the playoffs and actually get us in a round. Like we're not. Duncan Keith has 14 points. Congratulations. That's fantastic. He got one tonight, and while he was getting 1 point, he had 3 giveaways, no takeaways. He was on for 6 scoring chances for, 13 against, and was on for 0 high danger chances for, and 5 high danger chances against. And the team only gave up 9 high danger chances the entire game.
Yeah, no.
So he's on the ice for
defense.
over half of them, and that's against a second line of Eller, Sprong, and Sheary.
Yeah,
like what's Vegas gonna do to him?
And the penalty took, he was beat so bad.
He was beat bad, exactly.
I hate
lose your gap, and that's what happens.
Yeah,
I hate to question your stats there, but wasn't he on the ice when Draisaitl scored off a give and go with Keith?
That's a goal. That's
CC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he got an assist.
He got an assist.
It's a high danger chance is not a goal. It's a chance.
Yeah, and
goals don't count as high danger.
Who am I thinking of there that it got run earlier on in the year? The rookie got beat that bad. Had a real tough his first outing with the team.
Fadoon? No, just kidding.
Yeah, Fadoon. Oh, jeez, man, who am I thinking of here? Anyway, that's the kind of
Samorukov?
Yeah, Samorukov. Remember, he got that's how bad he got beat tonight.
Yeah.
That's how bad Samorukov got beat. Was the same. It was about as bad as Keith got beat tonight, and he took a penalty for it too. Right? He's lucky all he did was take a penalty for it, because they could have easily scored on that one too.
Next shift.
Well, and Tippett.
His next shift after taking that penalty, he's lucky he didn't get in the box either. He was cross-checking pretty hard. I think he was trying to send a message like, we're not putting up with this anymore.
Yeah,
and the refs weren't calling it, right? They had the ref in the whistle in their pocket, so why not?
Yeah.
I mean, Tippett staples Samorukov's ass to the bench after 3 shifts like Duncan Keith has, and doesn't play him for the rest of the game. And Duncan Keith does it, but Tippett doesn't have a choice. Who else is he going to roll out for his second D pairing?
Yeah,
first goal wasn't exactly stellar defensive work either, but we don't talk bad about Bouchard either.
No,
Bouchard had a good game though.
Yeah, he had a good game. He's got a lot of work defensively though. He needs he's got a lot of
power play time too.
Yeah, they did take off his power play time, which I know you guys were all right with. I personally, I keep him out there. I don't think I think he was doing all the right things. He's got a little bit of patience with it. And
5-on-5, Evan Bouchard had a 61% Corsi tonight. Duncan Keith had a 46.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you can single out that mistake, but Keith also made that same mistake being on the ice for a goal and was terrible the rest of the time, or at least Bouchard carried his.
I'm just saying we should be equal opportunists here. Bouchard's shot is the weapon on the point that I think we miss. And I did like Barry out there tonight because it seemed like the puck was moving a little bit quicker. But when it goes in on your first series right away, probably buys them more games.
Maybe you just answered my question that I was about to ask Durst, but I put that out on Twitter earlier today too. My eye test tells me that we look better when Bouchard's quarterbacking that power play, right? He walks the line. He walks the line better than Barry. He creates lanes better than Barry and gets the puck to the net, I think, better than Barry. He can shoot the puck from different angles. He can shoot the puck with a slap shot from, different release points and do these nifty little moves. But yet our power play has suffered statistically since Bouchard's been there. And it was a lot better actually with Barry on it. And here he's back tonight and tic-tac-toe, right? So is that your answer, Durst? Do you think they just move the puck quicker, or what's the difference there? Because I feel like
tonight I didn't feel like Barry was looking to shoot the puck on the point there on the power play at all.
No, not at all.
He was just looking to distribute side to side and keep it moving quick. That's all I saw.
But technically, if he is shooting the puck like Bouchard does, that has to make the penalty killers respect that, right? You're going to spread their box out and have them, play more aggressively to have to cover the D, which should create more lanes.
So
it's weird.
I think that works if it's a one-timer, but if you're stopping it to take a look to make that shot, then you're buying the penalty kill time to come out to you.
Yeah, but
or to cover.
I mean, where do you get the stats though on the power play? I mean, don't forget one of those
said today that shot volume is down almost 30% on the power play in the last 20 games, and that Draisaitl,
but he's only
been
on there
for
3
15
games.
goals in the first 20 goals on the power play. Sorry, 15 power play goals in the first 20 games they combined for on the power play. In the last 21 games, it's been 3.
Yeah, but how many games has Bouchard actually been on the power play? Was like,
well, no, I know he was only there for 3 or 4 games. He should have a bigger sample size.
Yeah, like he needs a bigger sample size. Like I think he there was that one time where they scored seconds after the power play, so that doesn't count, right? But it was a power play goal more or less, right? Yeah. I thought he was getting the puck to the net. I mean, the thing is he's been on there. What is it? Has it been 3 or 4 games? I can't.
It's like 4 games. In his first game there, they scored 2 goals. He scored 2 power play goals within 99 seconds of each other, whereas it took Tyson Barrie the entire season to score 2 power play goals.
Now, you're on this 6 game point streak, and maybe you're looking at Barrie as a potential trade chip. I'm all right putting him on a power play then, if they keep producing.
Right.
Yeah. I'm all right with that then. But if that's what they have in mind, if this is Tippett's idea of how he wants to play, the power play, I just think, look, you got a team like Washington, right? They don't see the Oilers power play all the time, so
their penalty kill isn't good this year,
and their penalty kill is not good. Yeah. There's a lot of reasons why they could have scored tonight. But
not exactly a textbook goal either. I mean, McDavid.
And that was Draisaitl and McDavid, right?
Yeah. Goal scores goal.
Yeah, it was a beauty. But look, Barrie, I think he did get one shot. He took one shot towards the net. I don't think it got fully there. I just think that's the difference. James on YouTube, thanks for tuning in, James, says, if we trade Barrie and Bouchard gets hurt, Nurse is brutal on the power play. I don't know that we've seen a lot of Nurse on the power play, though.
I don't know if he's brutal on the power play. Just we need him 5-on-5. If we can't have him killing penalties and play 26 minutes a night 5-on-5 and play 2 minutes of a power play as well. We can't roll Nurse out there for 35 minutes a game, or we'll see what we did in overtime last game.
Yeah, and most... I would say that most teams don't have like backup after backup for the power play, right? Like, look at, granted, Washington's power play hasn't been great either. Their special teams in general, but without Ovi, right? They're nothing. Even us without Nuge, right? Like,
we'd have to fall back on Keith,
right?
Probably, or we could go to 5 forwards probably.
Yeah, but I think Barry's expendable. For more reasons than just the power play. Defensively.
Oh, brother, if they're playing him on the power play right now to pump his value, then I hope he gets 2 minutes of every power play from here on. No.
Yeah, if that, there's, and the other part in the Barrie, piece is the salary piece, right? Like, we could certainly use that, for any number of different players that I think we'd get more out of than we get out of Tyson Barrie.
There's a cute little defenseman in Seattle. He's right-handed. What's his name? I think he'd fit right in. Right, Adam Larson. Wonder if maybe Barrie could be swapped out for a guy like that.
Potentially. Yeah, $4.5 million. And we've got Barrie for another 2 seasons after this. So, if you
we don't, because we're trading him at the deadline. Somebody else has him for the next 2 seasons.
If you can get rid of that, because like the term of that contract in and of itself, given the fact that you had Bouchard coming up and you had to know, like, I just don't. There are some things in the administration of this team that I don't get, because everybody had to know what they had in Bouchard. Every fan knew, right? It's not like anybody's surprised at his 24 points and 9 goals he's got, right? Like, is there anybody out there that's saying, I can't believe this guy's getting points like he is? No, I mean, it was an expectation. Was there anybody that was surprised when he got a couple of goals in that game, when he got some power play time? No, right? They might still be arguing that Barrie's the right guy on there, but they're not surprised that Bouchard is doing this. So why do you sign Barrie for the extended term in that instance? And it's not a deal, right? Like, you got to look beyond the numbers sometimes. It's like you got to look past what the team is doing in the past 6 games, just like you're doing, Dash, which is to say we're still not good enough, right? We're still not good enough. We gotta continue to get better, and here are the ways we got to get better. You just can't be content squeaking by every game. You can't be content with hope, right? And puck luck, right? I know I talked about making your own puck luck, but you just. You gotta continuously get better and make your team better, and there's just some things that are real big misses on this team. Anyway, I've said James says Holland panicking. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, but that's cool. I mean, Holland panicking on the Barrie signing. It may be. I mean, Holland is such a patient guy. I mean, he doesn't panic on much, but
he's kind of being asked to panic. That's what I referenced earlier. Yeah. Like, he kind of has a gun to his head because the organization has his chips moved in the middle of the table.
Timing,
like, the time
wrong.
is now. And, like Duncan Keith was the signal for that. That was the first signal. And getting Evander Kane is the final signal we've seen recently. Like, it's do or die now. It's now.
I don't think Evander Kane was a panic move. I think that's just being gifted.
I didn't say panic move. I just said do or die move, because the time is now move.
I think that's just being gifted, an opportunity there, and they were in a desperate spot, so they kind of did it. It'll be pretty funny if that little transaction is really what leads them to the playoffs. You shouldn't be in that position.
Yeah, look, I was critical of the Kane signing for a lot of reasons. None of them are the type of have to do with how good of a player he is. Right?
Right.
Like, if we could, if I was capable of looking past all of those other things, and I'm not, although I'm not one of the people that's going to boycott the Oilers, obviously. But I wouldn't have signed him. But it has nothing to do with the player himself, because he's 6 seasons, 20+ goals every season, right? Tops for San Jose last season, right? Like, he earned a contract, so hey, and I 100% get the argument that it's only for half a season, and I think, and my hope, like, I think that's all he's capable of being good for, right? Like I really feel like, just given his history, that if you in the off season you say, hey, Kane, you had a great little stretch there, we're going to sign you for $8 and $6 million per, then I think we screwed up somewhere.
Well, then we got to trade Puljujarvi at the trade deadline too.
Yeah, and I just hope that doesn't happen. But
well, that'll be Puljujarvi's money. We won't be able to sign him otherwise.
And we're a few games in, and he's seemingly, he's kept his cool. He's, there's some people on Twitter think he's not that stupid that he would, kick himself in a course of 40 plus games in the playoffs.
He did this for 17 games in San Jose too. He lit it up and kept his nose clean, and it got him a monster contract. Yeah,
so he could do that here, and that's what he wants. And that's what he needs. He needs a monster contract next season. I just hope he doesn't get it in Edmonton. So hey, good move in terms of the player. Bad move in my mind for any number of other reasons, and agree or disagree. By the way, if you haven't yet, you can go on to heavyhockey.com. Mike Dursa wrote an open love letter to Evander Kane on there.
It's a little sappy.
It is a little bit sappy.
It's half preachy, half sappy.
Yeah.
Just kidding, Dursa.
No, it was
a great article.
It was a good article. It was a good article.
I can't razz him on that one. He did a bang up job there. So.
Yeah. He's got
what do you guys think? Like I mentioned Larson jokingly, obviously, but do you think there's a deal out there that we can
get Larson,
pull off a defenseman without having to get, if we're giving up Barry, without having to give up a first or without having to give up a prospect or, I was listening to the radio, was it this morning or yesterday when they were talking to a Montreal reporter about how they thought that team was going to go, and the new GM's first move would likely be moving Ben Sherratt, and that's been a name that's been linked to Edmonton in the past. So there's clearly some sort of interest there, right? That's that left-handed stay-at-home defenseman that probably, a guy like that we should have got instead of Keith. But I look at the free agent tracker for defensemen for 2022, and and obviously there's got to be a team that's a seller. But, Subban in New Jersey, I'm not saying these are all viable. I'm just telling you who's available. I'm sure Letang stays and re-signs in Pittsburgh. Giordano, and he's the captain in Seattle. But Boychuk in Buffalo, it's a right-handed defenseman that's done that before. Strawman in Arizona, Letty in his buddy Yzerman's backyard. So, I don't know. There's maybe some potential for some guys that I think could fill that role, but we've got to move Barry out and move some money around to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing is, what you said, all these players, right? Like all of them are better than 50% of our D, right? That are in place right now.
Petrie wants out of Montreal. Klingberg wants out of Dallas. I don't know.
Petrie would be a funny one, wouldn't it?
I joked with Dursa that Mac T would still figure out how to block the trade somehow.
Yeah. What do you think, Durs? What do you think? Is there a D man available for us out there?
I seem to focus on having puck moving D now, and what we're lacking is a D with some physicality in their game. Mm-hmm. You noticed Niemelainen when he got a few games up here, but it's basically a rookie.
And Sam Rukov, same kind of player too. And I think those guys are coming, but they're not here yet.
Yeah, so if you could find a more veteran guy with that physicality in their game, I think that would really help. But still, the biggest problem with the Keith deal is taking on the full salary. I'm not like Dash. I haven't hated the guy as a player. I think on some nights he's been fine, and Low Tide said the other day he's been good since December 1st. Excluding tonight, I guess, because he said that yesterday. But so I mean,
he'll change his tune.
Well, he's been all right, and the passing, has been good, and we get out of our end, but we just don't have D that bring a physical edge to their game. Nurse can do that, but you don't want him in the penalty box, so he kind of lets off.
He's the only one we have that can do that, right? You watch Montreal last year. What would Shea Weber led the charge of guys just like that?
Yeah. So, and if you're trying to, peak at the right time in the playoffs, and the playoffs especially, you need those D that can, not only take a hit, but give a hit and kind of survive a series. And
Protect the front of the net, make people scared to go to the paint. Like I don't think the Oilers are tough to play against. I don't think the opposition go right up on the chalkboard and go, you better make sure, when Zach Cassian's on the ice. They actually do so that they can send out their first line. And
he's built like a Coke machine. He's a big guy, but I think
he's a big bear.
I think all season I've only seen him really lay one, pretty good check.
I've been pretty happy with CC though.
Yeah,
but to his point, he's not a physical player. I think you guys are both right. I've been happy with his season too, but not from a physical standpoint necessarily.
Funny. I didn't hear this comment, but James on YouTube says McTavish said recently his biggest mistake was trading Petrie.
Yeah.
So that's good. I didn't hear that, but
better calling Justin Schultz the next Norris Trophy winner. But yeah, we'll give it to Petrie.
yeah, he's. Yeah.
His most regrettable trade and his most regrettable comment all in one there.
Yeah. I mean, there's but the thing is there are defensemen available out there. Defense obviously though is secondary to goaltending, right? Like
big time. Yeah.
Goaltending has to be the first need. But having said that, I mean, if you want this team to go anywhere in the playoffs, then it's either you get a goaltender and another defenseman, or just say we're going to try and do our best in the playoffs this year. Like it is, the two of them are a need. Maybe one is more important than the other, but you could have the best goalie in the league, and this defense is still going to give up some pretty damn good opportunities that they shouldn't.
Still way too many high danger scoring chances against. Way too many.
So I mean, it's got to be both, right? The other thing, I thought was both good and bad. I thought we won a game tonight, which was probably one of the more physical games we've played in a very long time, like against arguably one of the more physical teams in the league, and we won, which was good. But at the same time, we came out a little bit wanting, I thought, right? Like we didn't look like, we could, we'd never last a full series against these guys, right? Like we'd last about 2 games before everybody was too banged up and bruised to get to the rink, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might pull off one like we did tonight, but you're not going to win a full series against a team like that in the playoffs that comes out and brings it every night. We need more. We need more, right? Like we were talking about Cassian earlier. Like you got to have these guys come out and play, that way. They got to be able to, right? Like they just have to be more physical. We need it on the back end. We need it everywhere on this team, and so this is maybe to your point about the defensemen, right? Like that's kind of one of the areas it starts.
Big time.
You know what I loved? Puljujarvi's little run to the net there tonight.
Yeah.
And you know what I love is he's maybe the only guy that can run the goalie like that, like nobody's like mad after they leave. Like they kind of
he got that shit-eating grin on his face, and they just look at him and think he's a human bobblehead and go, it's all right.
I mean, he's the only guy. Like they had a little talk with him, but I feel like,
or they're secretly terrified of him because he's a huge man. But whatever.
He is big. Like he can hit. He can do a lot of things really well. I really hope that he gets his game moving in the next couple, and I think he will. I think he's. He's just got to get a little bit of confidence. I wish he hadn't given it back to Dry for the Hattie the other night and just pushed it on net. Man, yeah. All right, guys, we're well over hour and 15. Short one tonight, right?
Yeah. Shall I remind the listeners what you said pre-pod about being able to go all night? Or?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I want to say thanks to everybody who tuned in. There's quite a few of you on a number of different platforms tonight. Really appreciate you, James. All the comments, it's welcome. I love
James
when
is always
people
around.
are
Heavy hockey family. We love it.
Yeah, we love when people are commenting, and I know Shannon's usually in on that, and Bryce, thank you for that, and everybody that's there on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, thanks for tuning in as usual. Please do us a favor. We want to build up the YouTube, get more followers. More followers, of course, means more commentary and people to talk to when we're not talking to you. So do that. Hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends. That's youtube.ca/heavyhockey. It's pretty easy to find. And hit the subscribe button. We're going to have more content, some shorter content as well, along with these live episodes. So Durst has promised us that he'd do at least a 5-minute little thing every day. And so we're happy about that. He has not. He has not. In fact, I'm not even
Michael,
sure.
have you talked to Kim about this?
I'm not even sure he knows how to use his phone. So we're. Oh man! All right. No, I appreciate everybody getting in on everything. James asks if this is always post game. I don't. It has been lately, and I would
What do you
love.
think?
I would
You tell
love
us.
to do that. But I'm this next Oilers stretch. I mean, that would be every night, right? Every second night, isn't that what it's going to be? I don't know. You guys
can pass it around the heavy hockey fountain, I'm sure.
Yeah, you guys want to just do post game from now on? Is that what we're going to do? It's a lot.
I just love talking hockey with you boys. I don't care when it is.
It's a lot of late nights for us in Atlantic Canada. Yeah. Oh, well. Well, you know what? James will probably do more post games because I think we've had some fun with it and it's been a good interaction and there's something fresh to talk about. So appreciate you asking the question. Durst, any last? We'll give Durst the last word tonight because it was his show. Dash, anything? I'm gonna shut up. Dash, you go. Hand it off to Durst. Durst, you know the drill. Once you say goodnight, I'll hit the end screen. Say whatever you will, guys. Just remember, I know where you live. Have a good night, everybody.
True.
But you guys, you're up.
All right. Well, for me, I would just like to say that I think this is just more ebbs and flows of the season. It's been up and down. It's been a roller coaster. We've all been riding it together here. When you break down the season, not verbatim, but win 6, lose 1, win 6, lose 2, win 6, lose 6, win 2, lose 7, that's, now 5 out of 6 we've won in points in 6 straight. We're streakier than Frank Ricard when he's running through the quad and down through the gymnasium. But, it's nice to see the good points. It's nice to see the special teams back. It's nice to see some puck luck back. It's nice to, be watching games and be excited. There's a few times I jumped right out of my chair. I know you said it before the podcast, Michael, when Nuge scored, that's as loud as you've cheered in a while. And my heart was pounding and it feels great for sure. So I just like to say thanks for being on tonight, even though it was incredibly distracting, given that Durst's legs were showing like Sharon Stone and Basic Instinct most of this. But I just appreciate being on your show.
Awesome.
I don't know how I follow that up, Dash. I'm sitting on the chair, but people only can see down to about the bottom of my Oilers logo. So thanks for spoiling the secret of me kind of doing the Zoom call naked here.
Well, except when you're talking, Michael puts you on all by yourself. And I don't know, your knees look hotter than the back of that leather chair by the fire right now.
Yeah, nobody can see the fire, unfortunately. So thanks for having us on, Mr. Hebert. Everybody out there, if you haven't heard already, Sunday, 1:00 in Alberta time in the afternoon. I think that's 4:00 out in Halifax, and I believe it is 9:00 in Slovenia. Special guest Robbie Schremp, former Oiler, is going to join us. We'll talk a little Trevor Zegras before Trevor Zegras doing shootout moves with the Michigan on the fly, and Mr. Shrimp breaks down plays like he's the second coming of Howie Meeker. I'm really excited for that. So keep your sticks on the ice, keep reaching for the stars, and go Oilers go. We'll see you Sunday at 1.
Oilerslive Podcast. Oilerslive Podcast.
Dan, 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 dan.